Welcome to paradise, friends. This is West Beach, and this morning we have a new nest from a green sea turtle. You can see this is where she came up, and the reason that we can tell that this is the way she came up is because of the way that the flippers have gone down on an angle. You can kind of see that line right here. This is where her tail has been hitting the sand as she comes up. On her way back down, that line will be so much more pronounced because she's essentially just given birth and doesn't really have the energy to hold her tail up and have it tip, tip, tip like this. So it just drags along like a solid line. You can see she came up and she's kind of done a little bit of a zigzag here. This is where she made her first attempt at a nest. You can see there's a body pit here. It's where all of this extra sand is. She started digging out the hole, but decided for whatever reason that that was not going to suit her. So then she went over here, tried again, same thing. This time she was held up definitely by all of these vines here. It's what we call scaevola. But then she did a couple loop-de-loops and went over here. And this is where we had some success. So this is my friend Yvonne, and she is putting in, just caught her by surprise obviously, she's putting in stakes to surround the nest. And we have these stakes that are made out of bamboo, and we mark the nest using a coconut because that way if anything happens, the tide comes up and takes away the marks, everything is natural and it'll naturally decompose. But we mark out the nest with a coconut and record what type of turtle it was, the date that it was marked, and then also we note whether or not we actually saw the turtle or if we're just kind of guessing here. And this is it is a guess, but it's a pretty solid guess. If you look up in here, I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's her body pit. She dragged herself all the way back into there to start digging that hole, and then came back out here and stood probably about where Yvonne is standing, and then threw sand back over the hole to kind of disguise it. She didn't exactly do a great job for our purposes, but it's enough to keep the crabs from trying to get in there. Now Yvonne is marking out the coconut. And we'll come back in about 55 days to check on that. But then in addition to that, we mark it with things that are in this bag, the turtle bag. This is our GPS, and we will mark it in the GPS. We'll tag it as a green turtle and that it was a nest. We number the nest. And then in addition to that, we have this beautiful Bible. And this thing is where we record pretty much everything you would need to know. Let's see if we can get here. All right, here we go. So this is today's. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but up here we note out, nope, you're not gonna be able to see this. Sorry guys. We note out the number of the nest. They go in chronological order. Date, the time that it was recorded, who was recording it, which section of the beach it was on, and like a more general location, the type of turtle, whether there were tracks only or if there was digging. We also measure out the width of the tracks, and that helps us to determine which particular turtle it was. So if, for example, it's what we call an emergence, where she only comes up and walks along the beach and then goes back in without laying, then we can measure again the next day if there is a nest and determine whether or not it was the same turtle. Let's see what else. We estimate the date that the tracks were there, whether or not she laid or if she was doing digging, and then if the turtle's actually here, we note carefully without disturbing her. Whether or not she has any tags on her, if there are any scars from taggings, what her carapace, like the top part of her shell looks like, and then any injuries or barnacles or things. And that all goes in here and into the big bad database. So this is your turtle example for the day.